I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
That's Booby.
And Vita and Chip.
Happy Halloween, everybody. Look. Hey, Slipknot. Bonus. Halloween bonus. Slipknot just released this record. It's probably going to get blocked because it's brand new, so there are no alternates. So there you are. All right, let's go. Slipknot, All Out Life. Let's do it.
Go.
Give it to 3, I'm gonna show you what I do, and if you know what I mean. One more, one against, give me the name. Are you shining pretty, never will ruin the game. You hold all the keys, so the chain shouldn't hold you. I know you heard me, I fucking tell you. All does not mean dead, new does not mean best. No hard feelings, I'm tired of being right about everything I've said. Yours does not mean mine, kill does not mean die. We are not your kind. No excuses, I challenge you to all out fucking life. Drop that shit and put it on a pedestal. Children are afraid of the gods. Raise your hands and show me what's impossible. That means there's even never tell me the odds. Word of war, getting stuck in a metaphor. I don't wanna go to sleep. I need a breakdown quick in negotiations. Get it all together and remember to say stop. Give it a 3, I'm gonna show you what I do, and if you know what I mean. Drive-by violence, more of the same. I can see where you're going and I'm really ashamed. Do you think when you act, don't just act like you're thinking? I gotta know now, you better tell me. All does not mean dead, new does not mean best. No hard feelings, I'm tired of being right about everything I've said. Yours does not mean mine, kill does not mean die. We are not your kind. I challenge you to all out loud.
Whoa, that one is heavy.
This is the old school Slipknot from back in the... I'm not saying that after Iowa they got soft or anything like that. It was just different. And it was different from the previous Slipknot that I was used to. So I just stopped listening to them after that. But even like the Devil and I song, I mean, it was good, but it just wasn't...
This.
Vocally, it was like old school Slipknot. It was like...
They were putting out some young energy, man.
Well, yeah. Well, it's really interesting because, like, you know, they've been around for, I don't know, 20 years now, probably. And they, you know, I understood why he even changed vocally, he changed his style, which I understand why, because, you know, I get it. But good Lord. This was like from, like, even the first record, it sounded like he was vocally, so it was pretty good.
I bet if you listened to them when they first started and then you saw the transition that they made, you'd be like sad about it and, like you said, stop listening to it. And then when they put out something like this, after all this time, it probably like brings back those same memories and that excitement level, and probably like the concert or whatever that you went to. And I don't know, I bet it was pretty exciting to hear this.
It definitely brought back, like when I was listening to it, I remember holding the very first Slipknot CD in my hand. Like I saw myself as a kid holding that.
Yeah.
Because it was like, I remember looking at it, I was like, what is this? Here we go. But this was like, you know, they were talking about being like Iowa level heavy. And I was like,
yeah, I kept hearing people saying that.
We'll see. But showing off.
They did. They accomplished it.
They pulled that crap off in spades, man. What a world. The horizon's coming like a hell-bent killing machine. Can't afford to be the wreckage. Burn it all again at 1,000,000 degrees. Calling all the adamant upper-level undefeated counter... What the? Calling all the adamant upper level undefeated counterfeit. See you next Tuesday. What a disgusting word. With a reason to fear. Throw away all the meaningless. The enemy is here. Give it to 3 a minute. What do you think the song's about?
Well, I missed the whole first verse because we didn't have the lyrics up. But like when it was talking, I thought that it was almost, I don't know, did it have anything to do with politics? Like,
I think he's talking about the music industry.
Okay, I just thought it was like, you know, in our current climate where everything, you know, people want people to compromise. People don't want to bend on what they believe or what they think, and like, but then at the same time when he was saying old doesn't mean dead, new doesn't mean the best. I didn't know if they were like talking about like almost like themselves. Like, just because we're old doesn't mean that we're dead, and just because those people are new doesn't mean that they're the best.
Right. I think interesting. One by one against give me the name. All you shiny pretty never-wills ruin the game. So that's he's got to be talking about the music industry. We hold all the keys so the chain shouldn't hold you. I know you heard me. So it's like, I'm pretty sure that this is about the music industry and like the new style of music. It's what happens every single generation, where a new generation of music comes in and the older generation says, that sucks, we need to get back to the roots.
Yep.
Because when Slipknot first came out, they were new. Mm-hmm. They were new metal. They weren't new metal, but they were new NEW metal. And I remember wearing Slipknot shirts and having old metalheads saying, "Oh, Slipknot, that's a BS, blah 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 blah." Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So it's like it happens every generation. Yeah. So now it's these people's turn. It just so happens that I agree with them because I'm from this generation.
Right.
It's the same thing. Like, Alex sent me a bunch of songs about mumble rap or whatever, and all the new rappers, because he says that I'm too hard on the new rappers, and it's like, well, maybe I'm too hard on the new rappers, or maybe they really just suck. Old does not mean dead.
Well, I can agree with you on the rappers thing, because I didn't come up in it, so I don't have an emotional attachment to, Biggie and stuff like that. But I do think that the new Cold Like Minnesota, I don't even understand how anybody can say that that's better.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you don't need to have like an affinity for B.I.G. to know that That's just weak. Like we're driving. I was letting my brother hear some of my originals, and he was like, "If you were doing this 20 years ago, you would have had a record deal or whatever." He said, "You know what I mean?" Like, so it's like I feel it more in rap because I was raised in rap and knowing like, especially being in New York, which was the center of rap, you had to. Lyrically, you had to come with it. It had to be intricate. It had to be smart. It had to be it had to like check all these boxes. And now you've got people just, it's like the Dr. Seuss thing.
Yeah.
The guy did a Dr. Seuss thing to a trap beat, and it sounded like one of the songs that these people make. And it's like, ugh.
Yeah, it did. It did because I was like, isn't that Dr. Seuss? And you were like, what? But it did sound. I was like.
But this is kind of the other thing that's interesting about this old does not mean dead, new does not mean best, is that some of the songs on our channel that have been rated the highest are old songs from dead people.
Yeah.
Like Dio is my favorite vocalist, or that Dime is my favorite guitarist, second favorite to head. But like, so it's interesting, like this is almost the theme of our channel, which is old does not mean dead, new does not mean best, No hard feelings, I'm tired of being right about everything I said. Sounds like something I would say.
And it's exactly what I thought of when I heard it. I'm like, oh.
But you know what? Ever since Slipknot came out, they were saying this though. They were saying this about like the metal of their era. Like when they came out, they were like, we're coming to bring back old school heavy Slayer type metal.
Really?
Because at the time there were all these bands, no disrespect, but Linkin Park, there was there's this band called Incubus, there were all these bands and it was just a very poppy sound, and Slipknot came out on the complete other end of the spectrum. So they've been saying this since the beginning of their thing. So when he says, I'm tired of being right about everything I've said, they were saying this at the beginning. So there was a song they did called Get This. I don't want to do a show with your shitty fucking band. You suck. They suck. Guess what? You know what I mean? Like, they were always saying that everybody around them was soft and terrible. And so he was like, he basically is saying, we've been right this entire time. Yep. All these bands suck. Yours does not mean mine. Kill does not mean die. We are not your kind. That's good.
What did that mean?
Well, I think he's saying, like, your version of metal doesn't mean mine.
Yeah.
Or your version of music
Yeah, I
doesn't
didn't know it
mean
was
mine.
about metal, but I got that part. Like, just because that's yours doesn't mean that I'm good with that. Or that
Well,
I
yeah,
want
you're
that
calling
too.
it. You're in the genre of metal, but it's not my type of metal. Kill does not mean die. Like, they're trying to kill, the true, authentic metal, and they're not gonna die. They're not gonna take it to the net. We are not your kind.
Yeah.
I challenge you to all out life, because I'm assuming what he's saying is like the essence of pure metal isn't just like chords and progressions. It's about living life on 10.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's applicable to more things than just metal. It just so happens that in his genre, like this is what he's dedicated his life to. And anytime you do, there's always gonna be that fringe of people who want to live life at that, at that pace.
Yep.
And then there's the rest. So it goes. It's just it's an anthem for anybody who, that's their mindset. Put on a pedestal, children afraid of the gods. He wants to speak to the god. This is hilarious. So there's this guy, Lord Jamar, who he said something about 70. Lord Jamar is an old school rapper. And then he was talking, I forgot who he was talking about. I think he was talking about Cold Like Minnesota, actually. One of these mumble rappers.
Really?
Yeah, he was making fun of one of them, and the guy was like, he should talk to me instead of making fun of me. So Lord Jamar was like, yeah, if he wants to sit down and speak to the god.
It was so funny. We were laughing so hard when we heard that line.
Raise your hands and show me what's impossible. That makes us even. Never tell me the odds. What a bore. I'm getting stuck in a metaphor. I don't want to go to sleep. I need to break down quick in negotiations, get it all together, and remember to see. This writing style is like first record Slipknot writing style. Kind
Really?
of erratic and
Yeah.
kind of like one subject to the next, almost bipolar. Drive-by violence, more the same. I can see where you're going, and I'm really ashamed. Do you think when you act out or just act like you're thinking, woo, I gotta know now, you better tell me. See what he's saying? Like, I know where the music is going, and never tell me the odds, because I'm sure some record label exec was like, you're making heavy, like 20 years ago Slipknot music, it's not gonna go well. And he's like, all right, don't tell me the odds, like watch us, because that's what happened when they first broke out. When Slipknot first broke out, it was the same thing. It was, you can't be this heavy and this brutal, because everybody's, verse chorus singing and doing a little dum da da dum da da dum da da dum and calling that heavy. These guys were actually heavy and hateful, and they were the real deal when they came out. So I'm assuming that somebody would have been telling them, you guys can't go back to being heavy like you were before.
I would completely disagree with that. I mean, or do you think they're saying because, well, you're too old now, so like you're not going to be able to put out like that level of energy?
You're 45.
Well, they definitely put that energy out. Like you could feel it start to finish on this song.
Well, that's one of the advantages, though, I think, of them being in masks and stuff. Like, you can't really see the effects of age. Whereas, like, we were looking at
or
Korn.
how tired they look.
We can look at Korn,
Yeah.
and you saw a 20-year gap between Jonathan for 20, and you're like, he's aged.
Yeah.
Well, Slipknot.
Yeah.
You're not gonna see it.
No, it's true. Yeah.
Smart. We're gathered here to get it right. Repeat after me.
I like it when they do
mediocrity.
when they read stuff like this and they put those definitive. We will not celebrate mediocrity. I will not worship empty shells. I will not listen to worthless noises. Like I like it when people make definitive statements like that. And the way that they said it, it was like, I don't know, I liked it. It was very empowering. I liked it.
I was talking to what's his name, Dirk, in our one-on-one, and we were talking about postmodernism, which postmodernism was kind of like this, I don't really know the truth, none of us can know the truth, blah, blah, blah. And we're, Jordan Peterson had made a comment about art, which I'm not going to get into because people are going to get triggered. But so Dirk was asking me about that, like, what about it? And I was talking about how Thomas Aquinas made an argument that beauty was objective. It wasn't in the eyes of the beholder. And it was about symmetry and complexity and all this. And so it was that sort of idea that hundreds of years later got expressed, on 10 during the Renaissance. Because in the Renaissance, everything was about symmetry and perfection, like Michelangelo's David or the Sistine Chapel, blah, blah, blah. And so the point is that art, there is an objective standard of what good art is and what good art isn't. Well, of course, then you get into a postmodern perspective, and then you take a bunch of paint and smash it against the wall, and then you call that a sunrise, and then everybody looks at it and goes, oh my God, and buys this thing for $5 million. And it's just crap. It's just garbage. But that's postmodernism. It's like, So I was explaining that I don't really think that as a philosophy, any given culture can stand up and continue that way. Because there's always going to be
that mindset?
Yeah, with that mindset.
Huh.
Because there's always going to be people that come along and say, no, this is the way that it is. But if you have, well, you could be right, you could be wrong, like that type of thing never stands up well. That's what's going on in Europe. Europe has this sort of postmodern, hey, everybody kind of get along, da da da. And then you've got other elements from other cultures saying, no, this is the way it is.
Yeah.
And that's why they, as a minority here, can dominate their. So what happens is, and that's what's going on now, is like, that's what's going on politically with us, is that somebody has now emerged as a person who's coming out and saying, no, we're doing this, and that's what.
Oh, yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
And everybody, people are calling that fascism. I mean, it could be fascism. It's just not postmodernism.
Well, some of the stuff is. I saw this Facebook post and somebody said, common sense wins again. And I just thought it was funny because I thought, yeah, there are some things that are just common sense that because we have to like do this thing, like everybody
has to pretend
like
we have no idea what common sense is.
Right.
But
like with men fighting in the women's UFC, like stuff like that, like where it's men that have transitioned to women and then they're fighting other women.
Yeah.
That's one of those things where that's not common sense. You cannot have that
anybody that's been in the hurt game knows that that's an unfair advantage.
Right.
But what he's saying here is, I will not worship empty shells. I will not. He's acting as if there is a objective standard for what good and bad art is, and what quality is.
Yep.
And what mediocrity is. He's acting like, and I agree with him. There is. There is an objective standard for it, and so like it's no more of like, well, it works for you, and all the rest of it.
What did he mean when he said my quality should not be bought and sold for convenience sake?
My time, my attention, and my quality. He's talking. I think he's talking about as a fan and an artist. Especially this line, my quality, the quality of his work should not be bought and sold for convenience sake. So it's like. Probably labels like, hurry up, put a record out. And he's like, no, we're going to take 4 or 5 years. What Tool's been like,
I see.
Almost a decade between 10,000 Days and their next record.
Yeah.
But that's, you have to slow down and think.
Yeah.
Like, slow down and think it through. Because you're trying to put something out that's quality.
Yeah.
And we are not your kind. That is such a provocative phrase to use in our current cultural milieu.
But why?
We're not your kind.
Oh.
That can be taken a bunch of different ways. The way I'm taking it is Slipknot has always been about the rejects. It's always been about the outsider. And that phrase being used is usually used to disassociate people from general society. And it's usually a hurtful term. But Slipknot, I don't think there's ever been, I'm really trying to think, I don't think there's ever been a band who's been able to take something negative and turn it around into a badge of honor. So like maggots or whatever. Not made fun of, oh, you're calling yourself a maggot. But they're able to take insults and turn them into a badge of honor. So it's like, sure, we're not your kind. Because the rest of you guys are mediocre. So yeah, we're not. We're on the outside and we'll go and live life on 10 and you guys... but I think there's some maturity though, because he says, I challenge you to live an all-out life. And then at the end he says, live life, I think at the end of it. So it's like...
I liked that.
That to me...
Some positive messaging.
Right. That to me marks an actual progression in Corey's thought process. Because before, it was surfacing, it was, fuck this world, don't belong, don't exist, I don't care.
Yeah.
Now he's a little bit more reflective and saying, okay, we're on the outside, we're living on 10, we're not going to do this mediocre stuff that you're doing, and blah, blah, blah. I told you, I was right. And then, but at the same time, he's like, but I challenge you.
Yeah.
To live life on 10 and see where it takes you. He's not even saying, do what I'm doing. He's just saying, whatever it is, live on 10. Stop being an empty shell. I think it's a great messaging.
Yeah.
I really thoroughly enjoyed this song. What do you give it?
Yeah, I was kind of thinking when it was happening, I was like, oh, like, whoa, wouldn't it be cool if like every metal band like had that sort of mindset where it was like positive messaging to people, like what that would look like, because some of the stuff has been like, So I like that.
I remember listening to Slipknot and listening to a song like Surfacing, and the thing is, it looks like negative messaging, but it was positive messaging for me to be myself.
That's good messaging, yeah.
To wear the nail polish in the middle of the Bronx.
Yeah, no, I think I'm thinking about, stuff that like we've heard, like there was one that kind of like incited like self-harm or something like that, like real negative messaging and stuff like that, like stuff like that, like.
I think the difference here is, as an outsider, he's reaching out to the insiders, and that is what I think is the evolution of the thought process. Because before, he was an outsider, basically gathering everybody on the outside and saying, hey, here you are, here's your outlet, you're part of this movement, you matter.
Yep.
Here, he's saying, hey, I'm an outsider, but it's better over here. You should try this and get it sold. And I think that's important. That's important to realize. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Like, that's where the evolution in this thought process is, in my opinion. It's like, whoa.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Here we go. Like he's evolved mentally here, and he's like actually reaching out and telling everybody to live a bit bigger. It's
Yeah, I like that.
It's a more expansive thing. So even though he's saying we're not your kind, which is kind of divisive, at the same time it's still an invitation.
Yeah.
So, which I don't think I've ever really heard in metal before. Not just in Slipknot, ever. Metal is always like, we're on the outside,
Yeah.
forget you guys.
Yeah, yeah.
Every generation. But this time he's like, no. It's kind of, it definitely reflects his growth and maturity and age.
Yeah.
And I think also being a father changes you.
It does, yeah.
You know, like being a dad changes you because you're never going to tell your kid, yeah, son, be mad at everybody and you know, live on the out. You know, as a dad, you always have to encourage your kids to do better and be better, and I think that that's being reflected here. Like, it's hard to just be completely, I'm an outsider and screw all you guys
Right.
after having an experience of being a father. I mean, he's got a kid as a teenager now.
Right.
So, I just think that's brilliant. I think that's really cool. What do you give the song?
I give it a 10. I really liked it.
It's a 10 for me. I mean, this is probably going to be my anthem for the next 15 months. God almighty. All right. Vin out.
Sori out.
Gone.
We are